trying to take the old fork off of a K800. Somebody put the KS600 fork on the front of a K800. So I'm trying to get that off at the moment. As you can imagine, you can see it, it's absolutely caked. It's been sat there for years. Right, so I bashed this off, and there's no wood rough in it. Should be a wood rough attaches to there. So we can make out because the sun's bright, but in there. Oh well. Trying to get this thing here off. I assumed it was just spot welded in there, and I've ground out all this weld with the Dremel, but it still doesn't want to come off. So I'm not quite sure how it's fixed in. So I still can't get it out. I need to know how to get it out, of course, because I need to know where all the weld points were and how they fitted it, so that I can reverse the process and exactly the same. I think there might be a little bit of weld in there still nipping it somewhere. But you can see I've cut around here with a diamond Dremel blade, which luckily is exactly the same radius as this, so you can just spin it around. Although it's taken quite some time, a good hour, to be careful. You can't hammer it out that way, obviously, because it's wider at this end, and you can't put it in that way, of course, because it just hits there. You can't hit it down because it hits the back of the fork. So I'm guessing the only way is to hit it up, and I'm wondering whether it's some kind of press fit. In actual fact, they just rammed it in there, and it's just been nipped by a bit of weld at the same time. Other than that, I can't think how else. There's no evidence of some kind of spot welding on the other side or anything. So let's just struggle on. It's out. Right, and look, interestingly, there's 4 spot welds. So that's what was holding it on. And then heated it up and separated these just slightly. And then when I put it back in, I nipped these back together. But there was these 4 spot welds. I'm not quite sure how they got them in there. So there was a spot weld there, 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 and there. And then there was a blob of weld around that one. And that was it. But there's no, on this side, there's no evidence at all on the steel of there being any kind of spot weld. Normally you get a bit of heat distortion, stuff like that. But anyway, there we go. So that's how you get them off. So this fork is stripped completely. It's pretty beaten up, as I said before. So first of all, I'm going to go around and mark all the parts I'm going to fill with the welder. There's just loads of dents. This thing was full of filler, so it looked better with the paint on. Now I've stripped it, it's actually worse than I expected. That's quite interesting there. We've got that mark. See it come through there? That must be a high velocity impact of some kind, because just by the pure way it's chunked that metal. Otherwise there is no denting around here. Otherwise you'd see, if it was low velocity, you'd see denting concave in the metal, a bit like these kind of things, but it's not. So whatever hit that, hit it pretty hard and fast. So we've got dents, ripples all the way down there. We've got dents to fill here. This is not quite straight, it's got a slight camber to it. Again, rippling this side. Big old fat chunky welding there. It's poor light. Got crack in the weld there to fix. We've got the same around this side. It was obviously cracked at one point. We've got a piece of thin steel here and here. Look at that, it's like knife thickness. It's going to have to come out. So I've got a mountain of metal work to do. Now the final thing to go in once I've done all that is to put in this extra axle holder there. So I'm going to put this thing on last. Once the frame's actually assembled and the fork's back on there, I'm going to put that on there last, because if you think about how important this is, that it's not just straight, you couldn't possibly get it right, I don't think, any other way. So I'm going to put that on there, clamp it, put the wheel on with the axle, and then if you think about it, if you move this up by 1 millimeter, let's say, that will have the effect of pushing the axle up by 1 millimeter, which will move the wheel alignment at the top over to compensate for it. So I think the only way you can do this is get a nicely straightened out wheel, get the axle on there, spin it round and adjust this until it looks right, and then obviously we've got the sort of caster type action as well, backwards and forwards as well, to deal with. I think that's the only way we're going to get that straight. These are actually pretty okay. They're fine, they've come out okay, no damage to them particularly. Springs stripped back. Very difficult to strip the inside without a sandblaster, although I have got one. These are a bit of a bugger to get out. Normally, whenever I've used these, you've got a washer in to keep this up a bit, so you can actually get a spanner through here or something to hold them while you tighten this nut up. It's a pity because these are the original Riber ones, but they're damaged. Well, I cut one of them off and had to slot that one to get it off, so I have to get those out there. I've managed to get one out. I've got no idea how they put them in there. Someone might know, other than bend the spring open. I wonder if you could bend it open that way and they'd come out this way, but I didn't want to damage it, so I'm just going to clamp them like that. Get the disc cutter blade, slitting blade down in there and slit down carefully between the springs, the rings, and cut those out. Right, that's it, on with the welding. Right, that's the new section in. Quite pleased with it. It's much better than the old one. So all I need to do now is give it a good wire brushing over, get rid of any just little bits of paint that are left, and I'll give it a lick of paint. Right, that's where we are with the fork. It's pretty good. It's 99% done. So got a couple of little holes to do and fit, of course, the front axle holder. Up next after that is the oil damper, which I've taken apart, and you can see up there I've already machined that, but I'll show you how I've done all that sort of stuff. And in the next video, which I'm almost finished, I'm just waiting for some phosphor bronze PB102 to turn up so I can make some new bushes and things like that. I haven't rebushed this fork or any of the linkage. I'm going to do that on assembly.